Let's queue up Chris Meyer from Maxxis. He's a senior marketing specialist. He's been on several summits. We've heard from Chris before. Chris, you know what the deal is here. I'm a young rider. I'm really good at what I do. I want to be sponsored by Maxxis. How do I get your attention?
Uh, you got to be honest. I think honesty is something that's incredibly underrated.
Hmm.
Um, and be professional no matter how old you are. I think those two things are really refreshing every time that I encounter it. Um, it's kind of like it's hard to overdress in almost every situation. You can be trying too hard, but if you're honestly trying too hard, I think we all appreciate that in a lot of ways. Um, I was telling a young gentleman a couple months ago, don't um don't tell me you're a podium guy if you're not, and then ask me for a certain salary saying you're a podium guy, and then when you're not a podium guy, well, you've under delivered on our agreement, right, Alex?
Yeah,
So instead, be honest and say, hey, I'm a top five guy, then deliver top fives and prove why it's worth it for whatever you're asking for. You know, it's
I like
little
that. Yeah.
things like that, just kind of like, hey, there's like a top five guy, a top 10 guy that gets out there and promotes and really treats racing as a job and something they take seriously as a professional endeavor, can create plenty of value without having the tippity top result.
Well, let's do this. Let's start at the top then. Um, we just talked about personal branding, authenticity. So everything you're saying, we've heard others say you got to be real.
Yeah.
Let's start at the very beginning. Maxxis tires can run television commercials. You can buy magazine ads. You can do freeway billboards. You can sponsor series. You can do all kind of things. Why does Maxxis sponsor racers?
It's the lifeblood of the sport. I mean, you have to start somewhere, and we made a decision before I was even a part of Maxxis. The brand as a whole wanted to support racers racing and create products that they could use in those endeavors and be successful to whatever level they were capable of. Um, and promoters need racers. And as a company in this space, we need racers to buy our products. So supporting grassroots racing and that entry tier is kind of a feeder into everything else in our eyes. So we would much rather support the right guys and maybe an extra guy or two. Great examples we pick. This is a four-wheel sport, but we picked Keegan up, which we are super stoked on to be able to
Keegan
do.
Kincaid, huh?
Yeah. And, we weren't out looking, but he's great for the sport. He's someone who's earned a spot where he should be supported.
So what does support look like from Maxxis? Because we're obviously on a motorcycle summit. We're talking about motorcycle tires, but everybody who has a motorcycle probably has a pickup truck that has tires. What does this support look like? Do you supply all of their vehicles? Is it cash? Is it product? Is it discounts? Is it marketing? Do you run media using your riders? What does it look like if I'm sponsored by Maxxis?
I choose D, all of the above. We did. It's a, you know, in general, the sponsorship with Maxxis, uh, when you get greenlit for grassroots sponsorship, you are part of our family at that point. You have access to bicycle product for training, for cardio, for, a lot of folks, that's a second hobby aside from their primary racing focus. You have support in being able to purchase product for your other vehicles, so that it's the gear company, it's the tire company's version of head to toe for a gear brand.
From head to
It's,
toe. I like that. Yeah.
it's from the front bumper to the back of the trailer and everything in between, we've got you covered. It's a strong statement for us. It's a good look, but to be able to provide quality from one end to the other, and at a grassroots level have access to that, some of those discounts, they matter. I mean, you start to get into light truck tires and good trailer tires, and they're not cheap. So just a simple first step in being awarded grassroots sponsorship gives you access to all that. And then the other thing, we do use our athletes in media, and I always feel like we could use them more than we do. But everything from kids in rock crawling buggies to amateur cross country moto guys, we've used them in various ads and in social and places where we think it's a good fit for who we are to use them to promote, but B, that it helps them too.
You have a variety of teams and a variety of different sports. Are you looking for more in the motorcycle space?
In the motorcycle space, we are looking, we yes. The answer is yes. Our eyes are always open. How
And
about that?
how does a rider get your attention? How does a rider approach Maxxis or get on Maxxis's radar to be considered for sponsorship?
You know, uh, the brass tacks of it is you can email offroad@maxxis.com and you can poke around and maybe someone will reply. You can DM our social media. But most of the stuff that's fast tracked, you come find a support truck at an event.
There you go.
Introduce yourself. Our support truck guys are really great about relaying the winners up the pipeline to someone who can make a decision. And I think just that little bit of effort goes a long way. I'm sure a lot of people on this evening would echo that just take the time to go hunt some folks down if you can.
And what's your budget cycle, or when do you make decisions on sponsorships?
So sponsorships, our budget cycle is a little bit funky because sometimes it does hold us up a tad, but in general, the sponsorship window is kind of traditionally September 1st to the end of October, and then contracts go out. And if everything's on track, then contracts are ready to start going out in November.
So does that mean during those 60 days, beginning of September, end of October, you're then considering all the different options, or is that when somebody should first
Correct.
approach you? So I'm assuming that by that point in time, you better know who they are and they better have already approached you, and they need to be in your bucket of consideration, because now you're making that decision, but they probably should have gotten to know you before then.
That's the correct assessment, Alex. We're not going to import you and your information into our internal SAP structures to be able to greenlight you and ship product or anything like that until after the close of that window. But if we have no clue who you are until you send that resume in on September 1st, maybe not. Maybe, I don't know. But if you've done some legwork before to where you have a contact that says something to the effect of, when you send your information in, let me know so we can pull it and take a closer look. That's when you're making progress.
Okay, that's cool. And does Maxxis like to cross promote with other brands? And do you do that through your team athletes, your riders, or do you do that direct?
Any chance we get, we've done it all the different ways. We do like to cross promote as much as we can, just because, this is a rather small, especially in the moto space, there is not a ton of extra dollars around. And so if we can find partnerships and opportunities where everyone is receiving value, and we're breaking up the cost of something amongst a couple brands that kind of carry the right identity, then we are more than happy to be a part of those types of things.
Cool.
We look
Um,
for them. They're harder to get done than you would think. I was surprised when I first stepped into this space. A lot of people want to own the whole piece, you know.
yeah, that's true because you never know how another company or another athlete might represent your brand. So you need to be a little bit careful there. There have to be certain guidelines.
But
Any last words of advice or tips or tricks or any last words for racers on the call looking to get sponsored?
one thing, and I'm sure I know I heard a couple different mentions, but social media, treating yourself as a racer as a brand, and really, um, there's a lot of different ways that you can have a professional career that can be lucrative enough. Not everyone's going to be Ken Roxon or Jet and Hunter, but I when I first started, Ryan Sipes was one of our guys, and he had this idea to race all these different things and not race any series, and it was kind of not really. It was definitely right when he pitched. It was not something that moto guys were really doing, and he kind of was able to springboard that into the Red Bull deal that he got, and a lot of fun, and making enough money to take care of his family. But he had to do the hard work himself to pitch that and then deliver it.
Yeah.
So maybe the piece is as simple as something your old man has told you for years and years and years is, you know, if you say you're going to do something, do it.
Be honest, be legit, be real, you
Yeah.
know, be who you are. I like that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks, Chris.
Yeah.
Let's
Thanks for the time, guys.
let's cue up Josh Shorter. He's a brand manager of Thor.